The autumn promised a good harvest. Blackberries shone from tangles of briars, rowans and hawthorns were laden, handfuls of elderberries dangled from sagging branches, and the farmers' fields were now shimmering gold in the September sun. Ratty and Mole were to be found on this glorious morning equipped for the road, with knapsacks, sturdy boots, and stout sticks, striding along through the richness. A little way behind, and not striding, indeed resting at the roadside, was a weary and footsore Toad.
"Oh, do stop! Do stop!"
he pleaded.
"My dear Toad, we stopped 2 minutes back,"
expostulated Rat.
Yes, I know. I can't help it if my wretched straps keep slipping."
Toad argued.
"You shouldn't have tried to carry so much,"
Rat retorted.
"So much? It's hardly anything. Smoked salmon, calf's foot jelly, stuffed olives, lemon curd, fruitcake, 2 peaches, a packet of rich tea biscuits, and half a bottle of champagne. I don't call that a lot."
"Oh, Toad, if we keep stopping, we'll never get anywhere."
"But we've already got here from Toad Hall."
"My dear Toad, it can't be more than 3/4 of a mile."
Ratty exclaimed in reply.
3/4 of a mile? Oh, no wonder I feel tired. Whoever wanted to go hiking in the first place?
"You did, Toad,"
said Mole matter-of-factly over Toad's protestations.
"Fresh air's the thing, you said."
I say, I do dislike a fellow who throws a chap's words back in his face,"
replied the unabashed Toad. The Rat considered.
"Well, Toad, if your newfound enthusiasm for hiking has burnt itself out already, what do you want to do?"
"Nothing."
Toad snapped back defiantly. A new voice joined in.
"That's all as some of us has to do."
Ratty started.
"Hello? Oh, hello, Alfred."
And indeed it was Alfred, their faithful companion from the days of the open road and the canary-coloured caravan. Unlike the Rat, Mole had taken in what Alfred had said.
"All some of us have to do? How do you mean, Alfred?"
Alfred snorted in reply and tossed his head towards the next-door field.
Hear that?
Toad hadn't time for such leisurely discussion, unless it involved him.
Yes, it sounds like a goods train."
Alfred wasn't to be diverted.
Harvester. That's what the noise is. The harvester.
Rat couldn't see the connection.
I don't think I quite...
The farmer, him and his newfangled machines, ain't good enough to have me pulling the moor like what I always done. Has to get a mechanical harvester.
Mole was concerned.
"Oh, dear. So what are you—"
Nothing. Nothing to do till ploughing do start again. Ain't as if Mr. Toad has a caravan for me to pull."
Toad had forgotten his earlier passion. But caravans had wheels. They were easier than hiking. But he didn't want to give away his motives, and
"Oh, yes, the caravan,"
was all he allowed himself to say. Mole was more enthusiastic.
"Oh, I love the caravan."
A snatch of their song came back to him.
"It's a life of ease on the open road."
Rat joined in.
"Rambling where you please on the open road."
But both stopped short when they heard Alfred remark casually,
Still there.
I'm sorry, Alfred.
said the surprised Rat.
It's still there. Just up there.
"Oh, I say, do let's see."
Mole was captivated by the prospect. And so was Toad, even if his reasons were a little different. He was determined to demonstrate to his friends just how much he had revelled in those days.
"The journeys we took in her, remember? Those weeks of slothful pleasure."
The Rat was not to be beguiled.
No.
That was not the answer Toad expected.
Yes. No.
You used it for just 3 days, and then you took up motoring.
Undaunted by this home truth, Toad enthused over the abandoned caravan, stuck in a ditch in the field corner. Mole was still enraptured in his memories.
It would be wonderful to travel the open road again.
He enthused.
You weren't pulling her.
Alfred retorted. Mole was horrified by his thoughtlessness.
Oh no, I'm sorry, Alfred, I forgot.
But Alfred had been only half serious in his complaint.
Be better than doing nothing.
He said. By now, Toad's enthusiasm had been totally rekindled.
My friends, we'll do it.
He announced.
She shall be restored. We shall travel the world, and not on foot. We shall explore the ever-changing scenery, live the Romany life.
But he was cut short in the midst of his oratory. It was the field mice,
Quick, we'd better get help. We'll have to...
and 3 of them scuttled through the hedge from the next door field.
Oh, Mr. Alfred, it's the harvester. He's mowed our homes.
Rat was horrified.
Mowed your homes?
Oh my gosh.
I knew no good had come of newfangled ideas.
Alfred remarked gloomily. Toad, for all his self-centered talk, was the most generous animal in a crisis, if sometimes a little impractical.
My poor dear chaps.
He exclaimed.
Homeless. Well, you will just have to stay at Toad Hall.
The field mice were delighted with this ready offer of help, but it wasn't quite the help they needed.
Please, sir, that's very kind of you, but... Well, we're not used to big houses. No.
Well, then my home will suit you very well.
Mole asserted.
Yes, but there isn't just us, Mr. Mole.
Replied the spokesman.
How do you mean?
Asked the mystified rat.
Well, listen.
He whistled through his teeth, and a dozen or so other mice appeared. Mole understood the reason for the field mouse's hesitation.
Oh dear. There wouldn't be room for half of them.
Not even if some stayed with me.
Agreed Rat. The disappointed field mice broke into a chatter. They were silenced by Alfred clearing his throat purposefully.
Sorry, Alfred.
Ratty prompted.
Caravan.
Mole and Ratty did not immediately follow Alfred's thinking, and Mole began.
I don't think we should be bothering with that when...
Why can't they stay in that for a night or two?
Alfred explained.
Oh, Mr. Alfred, that would be wonderful.
Said the delighted field mice.
It would have to be mended.
Mole put in, his usual practical self.
We could help you mend.
Said one field mouse, and the others cheered their approval.
Yes, hooray!
That's jolly decent of you.
Toad enthused, foreseeing some hard work being done for him. Alfred set off to fetch some ropes. Toad began to show the field mice round their new home, extolling its merits like an estate agent with a particularly desirable residence.
It has, of course, everything that you could wish for.
Except a wheel.
Rat interposed quietly.
Except a wheel.
There's one missing. Look.
Rat pointed to the bare axle.
Please, sir, it's our roundabout.
Explained a field mouse.
It must have come off and rolled onto the roadside, Mr. Toad.
Oh, well, now it's going to be a wheel again.
He turned to his friends.
Leave this to me.
He commanded, indicating some half of the field mice with a grandiose sweep of his hand. He continued,
10 or a dozen of you mice follow me.
and he marched off with his army just as Alfred returned with the ropes. So the next hour or so was filled with shouts and cries, of instructions, of effort, of satisfaction as things were done.
Can I try this here? Righto, look out, young Billy.
And finally, as it came clear... Toad, meanwhile, had managed, with much effort from his little helpers, and rather less actual work from himself, to get the recalcitrant wheel upright. He attempted to reunite it with the caravan by rolling it along like a giant hoop, and all nearly ended in disaster when it gathered speed and threatened to run down Toad, who had somehow contrived to get in front. But Mole saved the situation by ramming a stick through the spokes, felling the wheel not too far from where it was needed. Toad appeared shaken by his experience.
Oh dear! Oh dear!
Ratty considered. Was Toad really so unnerved by the near mishap?
Better catch your breath, Toad,
He remarked non-committally.
before we get back to work.
Toad pulled out his watch.
Good heavens, is that the time? I'd no idea. Oh, I shall miss my appointment.
Appointment, Toad?
Said Rat suspiciously.
You never mentioned an appointment.
We went clean out of my head. I must rush.
Dear me, now what's he up to?
Mused Rat, largely to himself.
No steadiness, that's Toad's trouble. Oh well, let's get this wheel on.
After more heaving, under Ratty's skilled direction, the caravan was once more upright and on 4 wheels. That done, they set about cleaning it, and before long it was restored to its pristine glory. A week or so later, Ratty and Mole returned, provisions in hand, to prepare the caravan for their promised trip.
Oh, Ratty,
Mole remarked enthusiastically as they neared it.
I'm so looking forward to a caravan trip.
Yes, I must say, Mole, that while an open road will never match a flowing river, I feel a need to travel. It's in the air, see?
He broke off when he saw a line of field mice sitting on the ground beside the caravan with their bags and suitcases.
Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Mole. Good morning, Mr. Rat.
They chorused in reply.
We thought we'd wait to say goodbye and thank you.
Enjoyed your stay, have you?
Mole inquired.
It's the nicest home that ever was, Mr. Mole.
Good, good.
Rat approved.
So, where are you making your new home, eh?
He added. There was an uneasy pause.
Look here, you have found a new place.
Ratty asked, suspecting that the shy animals, so grateful for the help given to them earlier, might have decided to move on without knowing what awaited them. Mole looked over his glasses and added gently,
Have you got somewhere?
Well, not exactly, Mr. Mole.
Yes or no?
Rat said more firmly.
No.
Sighed one of the mice.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, Ratty.
Mole exclaimed, touched both by the field mice's plight and their reluctance to burden others with it. Rat was already considering what to do.
Look here, Mole, old fellow, we can't turn these field mice out so that we can have a holiday. They'll be snug and safe here, and after all, we have our homes.
The Rat wondered how to stop the field mice feeling uneasy at accepting further help.
Look here, you fellows, we only dropped by to tell you, that it's off.
He said.
We won't be going. Important business, and,
Mole fell in with his friend's deception and interrupted.
That's right. So
you needn't go.
Finished Rat.
You mean that we can stay, Mr. Rat? That this can always be our home?
Said the delighted field mice. Rat and Mole nodded.
Thank you.
The mice chorused their thanks. But Rat suddenly frowned.
There's only one thing, Mole.
what's that, Ratty? Oh.
Toad. Mm. He has been going on about the caravan.
Yeah.
Mole wondered.
What if he insists?
Oh, Mole.
The Rat was seized by doubt.
Perhaps I was too hasty. Perhaps I should have...
Mole was not going to give up, however.
But if we explain to him how things are, if we tell him...
He began, only to stop when distracted by a tinkling noise.
Ratty, what's that?
I don't know, Mole. It sounds like...
And it was a bicycle bell attached to a bicycle astride which sat Toad.
Ring-a-ding, ring life a wheel!
sang the ebullient creature as he rolled into view. Toad shuddered to a halt next to them.
My dear friend, what joys I have discovered! The finest bicycle that ever was. Such silent, swooping speed. Such hills surmounted, valleys conquered.
Oh, Toad, not another craze.
Said Rat resignedly.
Craze? This is but the beginning of a lifetime's bliss. Oh, the swift velocipede.
Toad.
Ratty attempted to quell Toad's torrent of enthusiasm, to no avail.
The fresh air streaming past one's face, the whirling kaleidoscope of villages.
Toad, do be quiet.
Ratty shouted in desperation.
Oh, I say.
I thought you wanted to go on a caravan trip.
Rat continued.
Pooh! Caravan? A snail's home on wheels, a horse-drawn dog's kennel.
Yes, all right, Toad.
Rat burst in again.
Am I to take it, then, that you will not be going on a caravan trip?
For once, Toad realized that his vacillation might irritate his friends, prepared as they evidently were for another trip.
Oh, Ratty, Mole. Oh, forgive me, but I cannot come. You see, I hear the ping of chain guards, the ring of bells.
Thank you, Toad.
Said Mole firmly.
So the field mice can stay here for a while.
Here, field mice? Oh, yes, forever. No caravan is swift enough to match my spirit. And now, dear friends, I must be on my way. The four-spring patent saddle shall bear me hence. Ting-a-ling, farewell, ting-a-ling, ting-a-ling.
My word, he's got it awfully bad.
As ever, Mole.
Rat agreed.
Still, the field mice have a home.
Mole continued, brightening.
Yes, it's an ill wind that blows nobody any good, and I must say...
Morning all.
Said a deep voice cheerfully behind them. It was Alfred. And he thought Rat would be raring to go. They'd forgotten all about him.
Look, Alfred,
Rat began.
there's been a change of plan. I'm sorry that...
How did you know that?
Alfred didn't seem downcast, more surprised. Mole was puzzled.
How do you mean, Alfred? How do we know? How do you know?
Seeing as how it's me who's had to change it.
You?
Began Mole.
But we...
It's the harvester.
Alfred explained.
Broken down it has. The farmer's real mad. So he has to turn to me like, I'm sorry to spoil your plans.
Not at all, Alfred. Not at all.
Mole said, smiling inwardly. As Alfred trotted off to work, muttering about newfangled rubbish, Mole turned to Rat.
Newfangled rubbish.
Well, that's all right. Toad doesn't care. Alfred can't come. The field mice have a home. And we...
He hesitated, a little sad at losing the prospect he'd been so looking forward to.
We have our homes to go to.
Said Rat brightly. Then added,
Wouldn't fancy a day on the river, I suppose.
Oh, Ratty!
said Mole, contentedly. It was summer. The first freshness of the season, of green grass and dew-laden mornings, was over. Harvest time was coming once more. The excitement of gathering in the fruits, of making sure for the winter, would reach everyone soon. But today it was only the dishes that Mole had gathered, after breakfast, in the neat hidden coziness of Mole End. He felt that the effort might have earned him a sit-down and a cup of tea, when, clatter, slither, plop, a letter. Letters didn't come often to Mole End. Who could it be from? Not Badger, thought Mole. He was sociable enough once you got to know him, but he hardly ever wrote to anyone, and it couldn't be Toad. The paper wasn't half fancy enough. Mole savoured the uncertainty a moment more, then opened it and read.
Oh, my,
He exclaimed.
wonderful to win. Then, of course, I never would.
A letter arrived at Toad Hall too, and it woke Toad. He sat up in bed.
Post!
He announced to himself cheerfully.
Letters from admirers. An invitation from the palace.
Having eventually overcome the indignity, as he saw it, of having to fetch his own post, Toad clambered back into his ancestral four-poster, opened the envelope, and read the letter with almost as much delight as if it had been from the palace. Badger, on the other hand, had been out for a walk, bright and early as usual. When he returned, he found one of the young rabbits standing by his front door, examining a letter. The rabbit didn't see Badger until the last moment, and he started guiltily.
Oh, morning, Mr. Badger. Been out for your morning stroll, sir.
I have.
Said Badger heavily.
Mr. Postman, sir.
But you, I see, did not. Off home with you.
Oh, yes, Mr. Badger.
Muttered the thankful rabbit, handing over the letter and scampering off. Remarked Badger to himself.
Better see what it says, I suppose.
Now, as you may have guessed, all these letters were the same, and Ratty, too, was about to get one. When he heard the rattle of his letterbox, he put aside the copy of the Tattler he was reading and eagerly opened the envelope.
Dear Field, River, or Wildwood folk,
He read.
this year, as usual, we are going to hold our grand annual show. Oh, splendid! But with the additional attraction of a special silver cup, generously donated by Mrs. M.F.H. Carrington Moss, J.P., which will be awarded for the best of show in any class. I say, what fun!
Ratty exclaimed to himself. He'd have time to bake one of his special walnut cakes. He thought a moment more.
I wonder if the others have had an invitation, too.
There were several jars of blackcurrant jelly on the table in Mole's kitchen, and he was just standing back with a little sigh of satisfaction when he noticed that the handle of the spoon was still sticky. He tried to lick the jelly off.
Oh, bother.
Somehow, some of it had contrived to get on his glasses. He put the spoon down on the table, and just too late realized he'd put it on the recipe.
Oh, now look what I've done.
He took off his glasses to polish them on the edge of his apron, but the jelly was so sticky that it just smeared.
Oh, bother blackcurrant jelly and bother the silver cup.
And just at this tiresome moment, there was a knock at the door.
Oh, blow. Come in,
Said Mole, a little flustered. It was Rat.
I say, Mole, old chap, what are you up to?
Oh, Ratty, why did I ever think I could...
Mole broke off, near to tears of frustration.
But what, old fellow?
Could make blackcurrant jelly, could enter it for best of show, could win the cup.
Now, old chap, it smells glorious. It looks splendid.
Rat wiped his finger along the spoon handle, which was still sitting provocatively on the table, and tried a little.
It tastes wonderful.
Does it?
Mole ventured.
It tastes like summer days and autumn hedgerows and winter tea cakes all rolled into one.
Rat enthused.
Goodness, Ratty,
Said a disbelieving but delighted Mole.
do you really think so?
I do really think so.
Replied Rat.
Shouldn't think my walnut cake will stand a chance.
Your walnut cake?
Mole was intrigued.
You don't mean you're going in for best of show, too?
Rat, like the modest fellow he was, hadn't foreseen Mole's interest in his, Ratty's entry, and was a little embarrassed at the prospect of admitting his earlier enthusiasm for the competition. So he replied a little self-deprecatingly.
Well, only for the fun of it. I don't much care about winning best of show silver cup, but yes.
Mole could sense his friend's discomfort.
Oh, I don't care about it. I just thought I ought to join in.
Exactly.
Agreed Rat, appreciating Mole's sensitivity.
You don't have any walnuts, I suppose?
Oh, dear, I never keep them, Ratty. They disagree with me. But Badger does. He gathers them in the wild wood. He told me so.
Well, good old Badger. Might pop along and pay him a visit then.
Mole needed only a little encouragement to abandon his work. He'd had enough of kitchens and pans and jam.
Oh, can I come?
Rat and Mole found Badger in his kitchen, stabbing walnuts with a needle. Rat had timed his visit perfectly. He inquired if Badger had any to spare, and Badger replied, stabbing as he did so,
Take as many walnuts as you need, my dear fellow. You can see I've plenty.
As he said plenty, Badger's concentration lapsed a little, and the next stab caught his thumb. Mole was naturally at first concerned that the Badger had hurt himself, but the injury was clearly not serious, and Mole began to wonder about Badger's earnest determination.
Oh dear,
He voiced.
Badger, not that it's any of my business, but why are you stabbing those walnuts?
Going to pickle 'em, Mole, my boy.
He paused, then added nonchalantly,
Besides, I might just enter a jar of the annual show, if I can be bothered. If I enter, it'll be merely to support a local event.
Ah, yes, of course.
said the Rat, suspecting that even Badger might be pleased if he won. But Badger dispelled such unjust questioning of his motives by adding darkly,
And to keep an eye on others who might see the annual show as an opportunity for showing off, like Toad.
Rat and Mole joined in. Rat could see that Badger had been his usual perceptive self, and so they set off to pay a social call on Toad Hall. Toad was preparing his entry for the show with his usual skill, patience, application, and modesty. On the table in the great hall, he was putting into practice his vision, the culmination of his extensive reading of great wines of the world, and his exhaustive knowledge of chemistry, imparted by years, well, days anyway, of dedicated experimentation with his chemistry set number 3. All his equipment, both intellectual and practical, would now come to fruition in a prize-winning vintage. Toad had no audience, but why should that prevent a recital of his skills?
Ah, this is the way to make wine. Coat a bone. Ooh, mouton cadet. Oh, chemistry, oh, Toad. You clever Toad, you Isaac Newton of a Toad. And the world will hear a new name, a great name. Van Spectaculaire de Chateau Toad.
And he sang a new verse of his song.
Oh, as the bishop sips the nectar, his cheeks with pleasure glowed. Who makes this wondrous wine, he asked. They answered, Mr. Toad. Ooh, bubble away, my miracle. Soon the world will be knocking at my door.
Just as Toad said door, there was a loud knock, for Badger, Ratty, and Mole had arrived.
Good heavens, already?
Said the astonished though delighted Toad.
Oh, well, genius will out.
He went to welcome his visitors, musing upon who might have reacted so quickly.
Oh, it's you.
He said, when he saw them, scarcely concealing his disappointment.
It is Toad.
Said Badger heavily.
Who were you expecting?
Well, I thought that as I was expecting. Well, come in. Is it about this special silver cup?
Heavens, Toad,
Mole exclaimed.
how do you know?
Oh, inevitable, my dear fellow.
Said Toad, airily indicating the wine-making equipment.
All that chemistry, the wonders of science, my genius, well, it was bound to get about. I've saved a place for it on the mantelpiece.
Saved a place?
Began Rat, incredulous.
One moment, Toad.
Badger interrupted, with the verbal counterpart of a hand on Toad's shoulder.
Am I to understand that you believe you have as good as won the Best of Show award?
Hmm? Well, yes, of course.
Toad said, confident as ever, adding in an aside to Rat,
I do so hate false modesty, don't you?
Badger continued doggedly.
And for what have you as good as won it, Toad?
For my wine. For my home-brewed elderflower wine.
Each listening animal took in this astonishing conceit, astonishing even by Toad's standards, and each reacted in his characteristic way.
Oh, Toad.
Said Mole disapprovingly. Ratty had a slight edge to his voice as he said,
Oh, really, Toad?
Badger adopted his most severe and gruff tone and said,
Toad, you are a wretched, conceited, self-deceiving animal.
But such admonishment was lost on Toad, who remained utterly sure of his skills.
No, not at all, my dear Badger. My wine will simply be the best in the world. It is the work of genius, it is.
It is altogether too much.
Badger interposed.
Oh, come on, Rat. Let us leave this miserable animal to drown in his own conceit.
Badger led the way, and Toad was left alone to remark to himself,
Well, really, jealousy does terrible things to a chap. Envy of my chemical genius.
As he spoke, though, the bubbling noises coming from the hall changed from a friendly burble to an angry, ominous rattling.
I say, I wonder what's making that funny noise. Perhaps I ought to...
Toad turned towards the hall, but perhaps fortunately before he could reach the apparatus, there was a fearful explosion. When at last the smoke cleared, Toad was rather less dapper than his usual self, and the apparatus was little more than shimmering fragments of glass. Such was Toad's temperament that disasters like this were instantly expressed in a torrent of self-pity.
Oh, horror, despair, dreams shattered, ambitions cast down, suit absolutely ruined, no more chemistry, no chateau, Toad Hall, no silver cup.
But even as he bewailed his misfortune, a sly look came over his face, and with, if the truth be told, a less than honourable thought in his mind, he set off for his wine cellar. On the day of the show, the four friends were well satisfied. Each won his class. Even the weasels had their success, and whilst some might not rejoice that it was so, one had to admit that their pumpkin was a most handsome fruit. Mole, in his generous way, remarked so to Badger. I say, haven't they done well? Then, at last, the moment came for the best of show. Mrs. Carrington Moss took the floor.
The judges were quite unanimous in agreeing with me that, without doubt, the best of show award of the special Silver Cup goes to the Weasels Wildwood Allotment Society.
Oh, shame!
For their magnificent pumpkin. So, now I do, and before I present the cup, let me decorate the winning entry in the appropriate way.
And she leant forward to pin the rosette on the pumpkin. The result was extraordinary, for there was consternation among the weasels. Scarcely the reaction one would expect from proud prize winners.
Here, lady, knock it off. No, don't stick me.
But she did, and there was a loud hissing as the pumpkin shrank and crumbled. It was a painted, blown-up bladder. There was a gasp from the crowd, and Mrs. Carrington Moss stiffened.
I see.
She admonished. Even the weasels were shamefaced at their unmasking.
I wonder if our bites is all right.
Said one.
Eh?
Replied his neighbour.
We never come on no back. Oh.
And they fled from the disapproving stare of the crowd.
Well, in that case,
Mrs. Carrington Moss continued.
we shall award the best of show to the elderflower wine entered by Mr. Toad.
Toad accepted this as only his rightful due.
Hooray! Quite right. Genius will out. Well done, old girl.
Oh, not Toad.
exclaimed the rat.
He'll be insufferable.
Will be.
Badger retorted. Toad indeed was glorying in his success.
Have a glass of wine, Mrs. Thingy. I give you a toast.
Toad held his bottle aloft, but he didn't notice that the label had slipped, unstuck by its time in the wet ice bucket. And beneath the label could be read another, less homemade one. Niederhauser, Hermannshöhle, Spätlese, it read. Mrs. Carrington Moss caught sight of it and finished his toast for him, although not in quite the tone he had expected.
Toad,
Yes?
I have that wine in my cellar.
Well, you needn't think I pinched it. This wine is from my cellar, and I...
He became aware that the approving chatter from the crowds around had changed to a disapproving mutter, and his voice tailed away.
Oh, Toad.
Said Ratty, Mole, and Badger together, half sad at their friend's folly, half angry at his blatant conceit. For once, Toad agreed with the weasels as to the best course of action.
I wonder if those poor fellows have found their bicycle.
He remarked, sidling away from the prize-giving. In the silence which followed, voices were heard from outside the tent. It was the field mice.
Hang on. Hey, wait for us.
And they tottered in, struggling with a huge marrow.
Sorry we're late. We had to carry it all the way after the wheelbarrow collapsed. And we missed a judging.
On the contrary,
Mrs. Carrington Moss replied admiringly.
you are just in time to receive the award for Best of Show.
This was a very popular choice. The crowds cheered, and Rat remarked,
Well done, young uns. Put us all in our places.
And a good thing, too.
added Badger.
And now, I think we'd better follow Toad home. There are a few things I have to say to that unfortunate animal.
They found a contrite Toad sobbing in Toad Hall.
I can't think what came over me.
Just what always comes over you, Toad.
Said Rat.
Yes,
Badger thrust in quickly.
greed, conceit, stupidity, lack of consideration.
I say, steady on, Badger.
Toad complained, but Badger continued,
I should never have let you take part in a competition. It brings out the worst in all of us.
Oh, you're so right, my dear wise old Badger. Never again shall I flaunt my skills as a winemaker.
Oh, Toady.
Mole cried, admiring such determination from his friend. Even Rat had to show his approval,
Yes, well, good chap, Toad.
but he spoke too soon. For Toad added irrepressibly,
But come and have a look at my cauliflower.
Oh, Toad.
Yes, it's a miracle of science. Ooh, wait till next year. I'll give 'em pumpkins. I'll give 'em vegetable marrows.
Ratty, Badger, and Mole could only look at one another